To me, the race course in match racing should do nothing but make the chance for the race to be close right to the finish. And the most exciting match races are the ones where you're coming down the finishing line and you're not sure who's going to win the race. It's just like in any sport. The most exciting games, whether it's football, basketball, it doesn't matter. Tennis, fifth set, last game, tiebreaker. Football, last minute, both team driving down. Basketball, close game, coming down, which team's going to take the last shot. That's what's exciting in sports. And in match racing, when that happens, it's really thrilling. It's thrilling for the spectators, media, sailors in general. And the gate enhances the chance of having a close match race. Every match race you race to a gate, because the finishing line is a gate. The finishing line is, this is a big gate. You're not going around the gate marks, but the finishing line has 4 lay lines. You're leaving 1 mark to starboard, 1 to port. So racing to a gate is not a new concept. When you have a single leeward mark, the problem is that the trailing boat, you can be directly behind the other boat. You can be as close to them as possible without hitting them. But when you're on the leeward mark, the trailing boat has 2 bad choices. They either can stay behind the bad air and fall farther behind, which nobody does, or they can tack. Often they're still down speed because they just come around the mark. The leading boats had those extra few seconds to accelerate. Usually when the trailing boat tacks, the leading boat tacks with them. So now the trailing boat still has bad choices. You either can continue along, maybe the lead boat puts their bow down and goes bow forward, putting the trailing boat in a bad position. Or maybe the trailing boat can now tack on the starboard and the leading boat can tack right on them down speed and cause them to tack back. So the choices just get worse and worse. So right now, the current situation is the trailer is in a position where they usually get farther behind. And I've done a lot of research. And in bigger boats over 30 feet, the leader on the leeward mark usually wins close to 80% of the races when they're leading around the leeward mark. Even the smaller boats, the trailer falls behind and the leading boat wins well over 65-70% of the races when they're leading. So that's just a bad situation on the race course. People say, well, Dave, but you're taking away the leader's advantage. Well, first of all, I don't care about the leader's advantage. The leader already has an advantage to the leader. So to me, the advantage is you want the race to be close. But the leader still gets to choose the gate mark they want to go around. That's a pretty big advantage. So if the right's favored, you go right in Southern California and you choose this mark, the leader gets that choice. So the leader still has an advantage. Well, I know it's going to make a big difference. I mean, the sailors are going to have to get used to something they're already used to if they sail fleet racing, which is making a decision which gate mark to go around. But that's not a new thing in the sport. We've been using gates in fleet racing since the 80s. In fact, if you went to a big one-design regatta and they stood up and said, we're not going to use gates, you go, what do you mean we're not going to use gates? So they're second nature to us. In match racing, you're going to have to get used to the fact that if you're leading, the other boat might go to the other gate. So your lead is less secure. You're going to have to make a good decision which mark you're going to go around. And up the beat, you're going to have to decide, do you want to split from the other boat? Are you going to tack over and go with them? Are you going to wait for them to come with you? So there's going to be more to think about. But it's all because the race is going to stay closer up to the second beat, which is the point of the gate. As far as competitors in match racing, gates have been commonplace in the America's Cup, which is one of the highest levels of match racing in our sport, for the last 3 or 4 cups. They've been commonplace in the Louis Vuitton, which is the qualifier, and they're used on the World Match Race Tour and some events. So the sailors that are the more professional match racers are used to the gate, and they like the gate, and they think that it opens up the game, and when they're behind, it gives them more chances to pass. Sailors who haven't used the gate in match racing are going to have to get used to making more choices. They're going to have to understand there are a few rules changes. Yellow gets the zone clear ahead, or overlap, doesn't matter, they're on the inside. They're entitled to mark room, and they decide to carry blue past the mark here. Are they within their rights to do that?
Yes.
Yellow clear, yes. Okay. Now right about now, what changes?
Second.
Blue's gone, yellow's basically gone 1 boat length past the mark. Now they're going to probably be in this zone, and now what do they have to give blue? Mark room to this mark here. So can they luff blue here? In fact, they better be bearing away to allow blue to go there, which means yellow's going to round which mark? Probably. Right. This one, unless they can keep their bow out all the way around. So I think the luffing, the attack is going to happen early in the approach here. But those are just growing situations. Those aren't good or bad. Those are just, they are as a result of the gate. I think that as sailors use the gate and we see more close races, and a sailor who's behind now finds himself passing and taking the lead, or the race comes into the finish and here's Chris Love on his video going, I'm not sure who's going to win this race right now, and we're 5 lengths from the finishing line, people are going to love that. And they're going to say, wow, I'm glad we used the gate.